Hi, my name is Masood. We are in electronic lab in SIRC 2010 lab room at UOIT. In this video, we're going to show you how to use the equipment in this lab. We have 4 different equipments: power supply, multimeter, function generator, and our oscilloscope. I'm going to start from the power supply and show you how to set the power supply. This is the power button. You turn it on, you wait for the initialization. It shows 3 columns for 3 channels. So I want to set the channel 1 to 5 volt. I'm going to press the channel 1 button, and I'm going to press 5 on the keyboard, and I'm going to press enter. So you can see that it's showing the 5 volt. You can switch to channel 2 by pressing channel 2 button. Let's change it to 4.5 volt. So you see 4.5 on the top, and enter, it's showing 4.5 volt. So this is the way that you set the things. And now if I put it back on, because it went off for a second, so you see all the numbers there. And these are the outputs for channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. In order to get the voltage from them, I have to use this type of cables. They are called banana, and this side is alligator, so banana to alligator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect, literally this one goes here, but because I want to measure the voltage using the multimeter later, I'm going to connect the alligator part now, and then this one. So these 2 are connected now. Again, in a general use, when you're using it, try the banana side on the jack, but for now I'm using the alligator. Then let's say we want to measure this voltage, so I'm going to use our multimeter. Our multimeter is a Kitley multimeter. This is the power button. By default it switches to volt, but if you want to measure the current, you have to look for the label that says current. So we have DCI, which is DC current, ACI, which is AC current, DC volt, AC volt, and this button is for measuring the resistance, or which has a ohm logo on it. So let's measure the voltage, and because I'm measuring the voltage from power supply, which is a DC voltage, I'm going to click on DC volt, which was already coming by the default. Now I have to connect this to the jacks and terminals that are showing volt. So you see it says input, and there is a volt here. So I'm going to connect this to this terminal, and the black one goes to the common terminal, which is a black terminal here. You can already see that it's showing 4.9 volt, which matches the 4.9 volt that we set on channel 1 on the power supply. Let's show you how to measure the resistance here. So I'm going to remove this here. We don't need the power supply. I'm going to turn the power supply off. So I am going to connect these 2 sides to the 2 sides of the resistor, which is already mounted on the breadboard. So I'm connecting here. I have to switch to the ohm measurement. So click the ohm button, and it's showing 2.1 kilo ohm. I don't know if you noticed or not, but the terminals for voltage and ohm is the same. So that's why I didn't change these 2 cables here. They are in the same terminals as the voltage was before. So you can read 2.1 kilo ohm under. So if you want to measure the current, for the current you have to change. So I'm going to remove here these 2 terminals. So you have to connect to this terminal, which has I. It's mentioned I, and it's red. And there are 2 I's on the left and right. The I on the left has a 3 amp rating. The I on the current on the right has a 15 amp rating. Make sure you're using the 3 amp rating. So to measure the current, you connect this way the cables, and you have to click on the shift and click on the DC current, because the top one was showing DCI. In order to measure the parameters shown in the blue on the top, you have to press the shift button. So you can see it's showing milliamp. And if you measure the current, which is not something that we're going to do today, you have the current measurement in next videos. So we just show you the terminals and the buttons for the current terminal. So this is all about the multimeter. We're going to switch to the function generator. Function generator is a device that provides the AC signal for you. Our function generator is a Tektronix AFG 1022 function generator. I turn it on. It has two channels, channel 1, channel 2, and in this lab we only use one channel, which is channel 1, and it's showing channel 1 here on the top. So all the settings that I'm going to do here are related to channel 1. So you see that the frequency on the top is already lit. It means that whatever number you set is going to be the frequency number. So let's set it, for example, to 2 kilohertz. I'm going to press 2 on the keyboard, and the kilohertz, megahertz, hertz, and millihertz are the option here. I'm going to choose the option for kilohertz, and you can see that frequency was changed to 2 kilohertz. And let's say I want to change the amplitude to 1 volt. So if I press this button, the amplitude is going to be the background is going to be active. It shows that the amplitude is going to change, and you can see the cursor is blinking here. So I'm going to change it to 1, and is asking for millivolt peak to peak, volt peak to peak. Let's choose the volt peak to peak. So the amplitude was changed to 1 volt peak to peak, and the frequency is 2 kilohertz. And you can see the signal, which is sinusoidal. If you want to switch to different things like square wave, ramp, pulse, or arbitrary, which we're not going to use it here, you can choose the buttons below the LCD screen. So right now everything is set, 2 kilohertz, 1 volt peak to peak. All I need to do to press the on button here on top of channel 1. So the signal is going to come out of this terminal, this jack. It's a BNC jack, so I'm going to use a cable that has BNC on one side and the other side is alligators. So now you have a sinusoidal coming out of these two signals. How are we going to monitor this? We need another device which is called oscilloscope. Our oscilloscope is a Tektronix TBS 1052 oscilloscope. It's got two channels, channel 1, channel 2. In order to do that, you need the probe. So the cable for the oscilloscope is called probe. It's got one side is the BNC cable, and the other side has two parts. This is the ground, which always needs to be connected to the ground. The other side is the core of the probe. You have to pull the lead down so to see the core, and this is connected to wherever you want to monitor. So for now, I'm going to monitor the signal that is coming out of the function generator. So always ground is connected to ground. Make sure you never miss this point. So I'm going to connect ground to ground. And this one, the red one, is connected to the core of the probe. So on the other side, on oscilloscope, you can see already that the sinusoidal that we created is shown on the screen. Let's do some measurements. There is a measurement. First of all, there is an auto set button here because this oscilloscope has lots of configuration settings, but there is an auto set button here that sets everything automatically. So if you don't see the signal there because of the wrong configuration, all you need to do is to press auto set, which is pretty much a magic button that sets everything automatically. I'm going to do some measurements. So there's a measure button on the top. I'm going to click the measure button, and then you see the channel here. It says measure gating on, and I want to measure channel 1, so I'm going to click channel 1, and then you can see that the frequency and peak to peak are already check marked. That's why you can read the peak to peak for channel 1. So channel is shown on the left side is 1.96 volt, which matches the 2 volt that we set already. The frequency is 2.00 kilohertz, which is matching the 2 kilohertz that we set here on the function generator. So everything seems to be good here. Let's say I wanted to get the mean value. So you have to change this knob here and move it to mean. So you see that the mean is here. So now the background for the mean is lit. If I press it, you see that the mean parameter is checked marked, and then you are seeing the mean value for the signal that is coming out of the function generator as minus 19 millivolt, which is a very low value, and the reason is that because there is no offset. Offset is 0 on the function generator, so that's why the mean value is almost 0. If you want to measure another signal, then you need to use another probe. For every station we have 2 oscilloscope probe. You connect it to channel 2, and you can follow the same thing that we explained on channel 2. If you want to do some math function, there is a pink button here called math function. If you click, there are channel 1 minus channel 2, because operation is like the subtraction. If you change it, there are multiplication and addition operations, so you can add 2 signals together, or multiply them together, or subtract them from each other. You can take FFT, which we're not going to use it in our lab. It's an advanced feature that takes fast Fourier transform from a signal. And I think that's pretty much what you need to know for basic operations of an oscilloscope. A couple of safety points for this lab. Make sure that when you set up the circuit, the power supply and the function generator are always off. So this one you can turn the on-off button, so it means that there is no signal is coming from there. After you populate your circuit, then you can show it to the lab instructor, and then he can check the circuit for you, at least for the very first or second lab, to make sure that you haven't done anything against the safety, and then you can go on and continue at the lab. Hope this video was useful for you guys, and good luck.